Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's about damn time the Hollywood director told the media to go piss off.
Good, yes.
Good.
We saw it though with Joker.
Yes, we did.
But then they about faced it later.
Yeah. But Zack Snyder is telling the media to go piss off because he's not happy that they've been demonizing fans of the Snyder Cut, the people that have been rallying for the Snyder Cut, putting good money into trying to get the Snyder Cut made. The media has been demonizing them with garbage headlines like this. HBO releasing Snyder Cut shows toxic fans are winning. We've got releasing the Snyder Cut as a dog whistle for toxic fandoms, and many, many other garbage headlines.
Yes.
And he's like, enough is enough. It's a bunch of BS.
Good, because that's what we've been saying this whole time.
Literally, he said it's a bunch of BS. So good on Zack Snyder. We're going to talk about that. Before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, we're over 175,000 subs.
Heading for 2.
Thank you for the support. It's mucho appreciated.
Mucho.
Mucho. Mm-hmm. Mucho Neon. That's my OnlyFans. That's the username.
Okay.
It means much light. Anyway, we're going to talk about... Honest,
I'm just shaking my head. Whatever. Go ahead.
Zack Snyder's had enough. We've got a couple outlets covering this. IndieWire's got a version of it. Bounding in the Comics has a version of it. I think this is awesome.
I think it's about time, because I think fans are getting really effing tired of being told that if you have any criticisms whatsoever, or if you don't like the way things are going as a fan, that if you say anything, you're because you're toxic. We saw it with Star Wars. We saw it with Ghostbusters. We saw it with She-Ra. We're seeing it. We saw it with the Justice League. You know, and I'm glad they're calling it out, because it's a load of shit, and I'm so sick and effing tired of it.
He basically said the same thing. Yeah, because I mean, look, again, you see these headlines, and they may all around you, all the outlets you would expect. All the far left fringy outlets are all like, oh my God, it's an alt-right dog whistle. These people are just the toxic fans, and there is no Snyder Cut. There's no such thing. They never planned for one. Which actually turned out to be a bunch of bullshit. I guess a big chunk of the movie that was released was Joss Whedon's reshoots. Wasn't the original Snyder Cut. And of course, the movie got cut short because of the unfortunate death of his daughter.
But they were dicks about that too.
They were dicks about that. It was like, come on. So yeah, he had an interview with Cinema Blend. And he had an interview with Release the Snyder Cut author and Cinema Blend managing director Sean O'Connell. Snyder pushed back against claims criticizing his fan base and suggested that people he is not allowed to name are responsible for constructing a dangerous narrative about his fans. I'm going to read what he said, and then we're going to talk about that, because I think there is a lot of this drama in fandom. There is a phantom menace behind it.
Well, I'm going to tell you straight up with She-Ra that there was a concerted effort to control the narrative, that there were actually talking points that they all had to cover, and it was deliberately set up to make sure that the original fans are vilified. The original show was vilified from the get-go, because these dumbasses think that's going to make people, it's like I always say about soap operas. If the guy has a wife, some crazed person thinks that they killed the wife, that they're going to love them, and that's not how this works.
Nope. So let's talk about that. This is what Snyder said. He said that, I think it's sour grapes.
Yep.
There's really no other way to say it.
I agree.
We know the people who were the architects. of that narrative, and it's pretty obvious what their agenda is. Those are people I've been held back from confronting by wiser people in the room, because I'd love to get at some of these characters. Some direct conversation would be nice, just to say, one, you don't know shit about what you're talking about. There's a few of these guys where I could just get a list of everything they've ever said that they thought was right, and I could tell them every single thing they've said is wrong. I think he's talking about the pop culture media outlet, and I think probably some people within the company or whatever. Snyder continued, I would love the opportunity to say to the world and the fandom in general who these fakers are and what should be done to them or with them. It's just a bunch of BS. In regards to the toxic fandom, or it's a win for toxic fandom again. In what world does this toxic fandom raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for suicide prevention?
Yes.
His daughter, unfortunately, took her life.
Yes.
And that's why he had to stop work on Justice League.
They need to stop vilifying the fans. And that's what happened with She-Ra.
Yes.
That's what happened with the Ghostbusters people. That's what happened with Star Wars fans. If you don't like our take, it's not because you disagree. It's because you're toxic people. And they have to start this narrative to try to control how it's going to be presented so they can keep control.
How is this a toxic fandom? They probably achieved more good than any other fan base, any other group, so I don't understand. We see this happen with the Fandom Menace, too. The Fandom Menace raised a bunch of money for charity, but they're still demonized by certain factions within Lucasfilm and the pop culture media that supports them.
Right.
The story is the Fandom Menace are alt-right Yahtzees. The Fandom Menace are toxic. The Fandom Menace are bullies. Again, I'm not saying everybody who identifies as Fandom Menace is a saint. I mean, there's some people that use hashtags or whatever that are garbage people. They just use hashtags. But we see this more and more that the media constructs this toxic fandom narrative to divide fans, to destroy fandoms for clicks for themselves, and also, I think, to prop up their friends' projects.
Right. They want to keep control. But then when it backfires on them, then they try to blame it on these toxic people. Well, hell, when we had Captain Marvel come out, same time as Alita, you think that the takeaway for all these women would be, yay, we have 2 movies with strong female characters leading them. That would have been the top. If you legitimately wanted to see more women in Hollywood, that would have been the takeaway. That should have been the takeaway. But it wasn't, because they were afraid that Alita was going to cut into Captain Marvel. So they went out and vilified fans of vilified Alita, the movie itself, and found problems with it to try to elevate Captain Marvel to the empty theater, sold out theaters are empty and all that. It's a load of shit. She-Ra, before the show was even released, I was getting attacked because I didn't like the new character designs.
We were getting, okay, so this is truth. For those of you who are new to the channel, we covered the Netflix She-Ra debacle back in the day when it first launched, and we had DreamWorks copyright claiming our videos when they had no right to do so.
No, we got it reversed, but it would take a while
to try to shut us up. Because we were calling out that, regardless of what you think of the show, the shenanigans going on with the people working on the show, including throwing shade at folks who worked on the original series, was not cool.
No, because they wanted the narrative to be, oh my gosh, we finally have a diverse writer's room with all light-skinned women. Because I apparently don't know what diversity actually means. And we finally have, this, that, and the other female showrunners, even though we can give you lists of female showrunners, lists of truly diverse people that worked on the shows years ago. Doesn't matter. They're trying to push this narrative. They all had the same talking points. They would all bring up the exact same things. And then that's the same thing that happened with, I think, the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Was when these media outlets would come in, it's a concerted effort. It wasn't just like 1 or 2. They'd all have the exact same damn talking points. It's like it was given to them.
What's going on, this is my theory, and I talked about this in another video talking about, all these pop culture blogs. There are Slack channels.
Oh,
there
100%.
are Slack channels set up where, well, I know, because I belong to the one that was the advertisers' Slack channel, and there were a lot of heads of, I'm not going to name individual sites, but there were a lot of pop culture site people.
I remember that, yeah.
That were in this channel. So, yeah, they're talking back channel. They all talk amongst themselves. This is the story we're going to construct. This is the whatever. Or my friend so-and-so is getting pushed back from the god-awful fans. Can we just shut them down? Let's all 6 or 8 of our sites run very similar headlines. They're conspiring behind the scenes. Zack Snyder knows it. He's calling them out because it does. It's always like clockwork. Like, oh, there's no way that these 8 or 10 sites are all running with very similar headlines on the same damn day or
within a couple days of each other.
Yeah. And they're not just copying off of each other. It's actually coordinated on the back end. These sites, they know how Google works. They know how the algorithm works. They make it look organic, but these people are absolutely talking to each other back.
Well, what the kicker is, when they're going around calling people toxic, usually the toxic behavior coming from the people they're offending. Like with the cartoon people, for example, they were yelling about the toxic fans not liking the new show. But where we saw the most toxicity, and not just against us, but against other people, were from the people they were courting and acting like they were the real fans. They were the ones going around telling people to kill themselves. They didn't like that. Someone did art they didn't like, or whatever. They're a bunch of children, or they at least act like children. And they're the ones that are being toxic. You see this behavior over and over again. Like with the Ghostbusters 2016. A lot of the fans are like, well, one, we don't understand why, we're doing a new Ghostbusters at all.
Yeah.
That was the majority. Most people didn't even want another one because why? Yeah. And then the other people were like, well, why are we making it all female? Why aren't we just making it like a mixed cast? And then another group of people were like saying, well, why can't it be like these are their kids or something? So we're continuing it. Those were the three main complaints I heard. But the complaints that they claimed that were being made was everybody was against women, which was not what people were saying. So what happened was these people that were defending the movie were going out, calling people names, aggressively going after people to discredit them, to mock them, to publicly try to shame them into agreeing. By calling someone names when it's not true, you're kind of like slandering them, and it's a load of shit. And that I would argue is a toxic behavior. Saying I don't like this movie because I don't think we need another one, or I thought it was boring because
there's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to say, hey, I thought The Last Jedi was a garbage movie.
And now you're going to inevitably know what's going to happen. Well, Kelly Marie Tran got bullied off of fucking Twitter. Well, you know what? One, there's not really any proof that happened. And two, you know what? That was years ago. And there's been a bunch of celebrities, they're trying to bully Gina Carano off of Twitter. And they're far more vicious than anybody was to Kelly Marie Tran.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, bullshit. It's like you're doing the exact same thing, but you're saying one's toxic and one's not. You could argue for a fact the other side's toxic as well. Actually, I've seen more shitty behavior out of the people back in the High Republic and that load of shit than I have on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, toxic my ass.
Well, you want to talk about the toxic. Yeah. I mean, look at the drama around the High Republic. Look at everything that happened with that, and then look at the coordinated efforts, I believe, of people within the Star Wars fandom and journalists to paint large portions of Star Wars fans as being toxic, racist, misogynist, whatever. And
even the Star Wars accounts defending, that chick who made the comments that could be deemed as racist.
Ariel, yeah.
And then people have been harassing Gina Carano for months, and because they didn't like what she had to say, and then that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's double standard is a load of shit. I would call, if you want to talk about something that's toxicity, the double standard is toxicity.
This has to end. Like, this is the media. I'm going to tell you the truth. The pop culture media is the one that's stoking all the outrage. They're stoking all the fires. There's always been heated discussion in nerd circles about certain topics or certain movies or whatever, but it's never gotten to the point where it's at now with death threats. And
if you don't agree with me, I'm going to block you because you're a hater.
Yeah, careers getting canceled, people being,
Oh, the other day, the one girl was on there talking, it was a thread about the MCU, and she gets on there and she's like, we need to cancel Rosario Dawson and Gina Carano because they're phobes. And I was like, other people were like, what did Dawson do? Well, she was against trans people. And then I just mentioned, I said, wait a minute, all but 2 of those counts were dropped.
Yeah.
His lawyer, her lawyer, I don't remember if it was a he or she, quit because they didn't think there was enough of a case. And so it looks like that was there was, maybe not as cut and dry as we thought it was. So that might not be the case. And Gina Carano never said anything phobic. She just said she wasn't going to put her pronouns in her bio. And last I checked, and actually a lot of the people, including that Ariel, didn't have pronouns in their bio.
No,
so, my God, cancel them. They're phobic. I'm just saying, she just said that. And that's not really true. And when I pointed this out, and I said, actually, by the definition of bigotry, when you look at the definition, the behavior towards Gina Carano, because I think she's Republican, would actually be constitute as bigotry. And then immediately this girl was like, you're not even worth my time. And this is after she told somebody else when they were going to listen to her side, oh, we'll have a discussion. I'll talk to you about it. So she goes on, not listening to anything I'm saying. She's saying, I was twisting the definition. I said, I copy and pasted the definition right from the dictionary. I didn't twist anything. You're lying. It's about marginalized people. I'm like, I'm just telling you what the definition says. She would not talk to me about it at all. Just kept being combative and then blocked me. And then talked about me behind my back, saying about women like me needing to have men, get attention of men. I'm like, bitch, I'm married. I don't really care if men pay attention to me, other than my husband. It's like, this has nothing to do with that. I was just calling out the fact that you were on a Marvel post, which had nothing to do with Star Wars, but was part of Disney Plus. You were trying to get people canceled when it had nothing to do with what was being posted over information that has been proven to be untrue.
Yeah.
But with the definition that it goes against what you're saying. And your reaction wasn't, let's discuss. And then she told people, I refuse to discuss it with her. You saw the thing. Did she even try to discuss it with me?
These studios.
Oh, I'm uneducated too.
Oh, you're
She didn't even graduate high school yet, and I almost have 2 degrees, but I'm uneducated.
these studios, these publishers, to save themselves, they have to stop listening to Twitter. They have to stop listening to these pop culture websites that are looking for outrage or looking to be angry. They're run by activists. They're hurting your bottom line. Look at what these fandoms do. Look at, I'm not talking about the people out there, throwing shit under a certain hashtag or whatever, but look at, again, the Snyder Cut fandom. Look at the money they've raised. Look at the good that's actually being done.
Doesn't matter if you do good. I mean, we've seen other YouTubers raise money for good causes, but because the media said they're bad, they should be canceled. You know, I mean, people raise money for good causes all the time, and it doesn't, and they're immediately toxic because they don't agree with you on a fucking movie. At the end of the day, because you want to see a different version of a movie, that means you're toxic.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, this is, and I know he's talking about the media. It's very clear because he's like, these people, I can point to all the times that they've gotten it wrong.
I would love to see what he has on this. You know? I really would.
Look, these outlets, for the most part, a lot of them started out as being fan-friendly sites, and then they got on a power trip. We've been watching Cobra Kai, and I'm thinking Hawk, where he got bullied, and then he became the bully. He went from being empowered to becoming the bully. And I think with a lot of these pop culture outlets, they started out with good intentions. Like, here's a place where we can talk about our geek stuff because I've been bullied in life and I want to talk with other people who are into the same stuff I am, and they've become the villains.
They become the gatekeeper. Then they start to gatekeep it. And anybody who doesn't agree with their version of whatever, that they're the toxic people.
And the people they've been bringing on are activists, so they're immediately about trying to change whatever, and they're like, yes, I've got a big megaphone. Somebody else built this megaphone, gave this platform to me. I'm going to use it to air all my grievances.
Right. You've seen these articles about one thing. By the end, it was going into talking about Trump. And it had nothing to do with anything.
No. Like the Star Wars.
He's out of office and he still keep doing it.
Yeah. It's insane. And it has to stop. Look, people want to like products. They want to like comic books.
They don't want to hate this stuff. They love it. That's why they are still fans.
That's why Star Wars it's why there's so much controversy around it. Because people will come back to properties like Star Wars if you fix it and you show the fans respect.
And you show them you're sorry.
And we're really sorry. We're going to fix it. The Snyder Cut. I think that's a good example. Look, we're going to fix it. We knew Justice League wasn't what it could have been. Mm-hmm. We're going to fix it.
And all the actors have come out and been like, yeah, it wasn't a good working environment.
Right.
So it's fixing it for the actors too. I mean, there's no reason. I don't understand. Why does it matter? That's why I don't understand why the Justice League thing, the Snyder Cut, is such a big deal. Why does it matter? I can get what people were mad about, because Kelly Marie Tran was, bullied off of what. Okay, I get that, but I don't understand what their problem is. Why it's so bad that they make another version of Justice League. I don't get it.
It's right here. HBO releasing the Snyder Cut of Justice League shows toxic fans are winning.
How were they toxic though?
Because the media says so.
But I mean, to what point? There has to be a reason behind the scenes and it's all going to be about power and control. Because if you stop and think about it without taking that out of play, there's nothing, take it out. That doesn't make any sense. The only thing that makes sense is that there's people behind the scenes wanting this to be the narrative to try to keep control.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing that makes sense.
And he seems to know who's pulling the strings.
Well, he should call it. I don't want to get sued. Well, they all say whatever they want about you, and they don't worry if you sue them.
I mean, we saw this with, again, you were talking Joker. We saw this with Joker, too, where the media immediately got their back up about this movie, and they tried to destroy it. I was just talking about yesterday in comics, the Keanu Reeves comic, the Boom Studios. The comic book media, they all got together, and they were like, Boom Studios shouldn't be kickstarting books. Keanu Reeves doesn't need any more money. 600,000 copies.
Yeah, because they were pissed because they thought that if people didn't give the money to that, they'd give the money to them. Just because, that scenario I mentioned earlier, just because they want to back this one thing and they like that one thing, if you kill it, doesn't mean that they're going to love you.
Yeah,
just or give you anything. Yes.
Nobody gets anything.
It's literally the psychopath test, which if you have not listened to the show before, I'll tell you it again so you know what I'm talking about. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so there was a quiz and they said that here's how you can tell if someone has psychopathic tendencies, or they can understand that. Because there was a girl and she went to her aunt's funeral and she met this guy of her dreams. But she was totally into this guy. And then she forgot to get his number. And then a week later she killed her cousin. Why? And I thought it was obvious. Apparently, a lot of people don't know it's obvious. So I'm a psychopath. I was because she thought if she killed her cousin, there'd be another funeral and she'd get to have a chance to see this guy again. You know, people were like, oh, because the cousin was dating him or something. No, she killed her cousin so that when there'd be another funeral so that they'd come back. And this is from me watching soap operas, because this is the soap opera mentality. And the thing is, at the end of the day, that's insane. And just like if in a soap opera, if you're the other woman, or like the girl likes this guy and it's a one-sided thing that he doesn't like you back, killing the wife or girlfriend isn't going to make it opening for you. That's what these people don't understand.
That's what I think is going on here, is we have a group of people. Again, this is, speculation, but I think we have a group of people either working for these pop culture outlets that want to break into Hollywood, which that happens a lot, or they've got friends in Hollywood and they're like, almost like, we need to lock down who gets to make stuff. So all the wrong thinkers, we're going to go out of our way to basically drive them out, which will make more room for our
And they're going to love our stuff. And they're going to back our books on Kickstarter. It doesn't work that way.
It does not work that way. What happens is the fans get pissed off and they walk away. So you demonize the fans, and then you demonize them for being angry when you demonize them.
Right.
Which makes them even more angry.
Right. Like we saw with Star Wars. If you didn't like it, it wasn't because you had legitimate reasons why you didn't like it. And there was a lot of legitimate reasons people had. It was automatically because you hated strong women, you were a racist, and everything else. Even though most people were mad because they thought Finn should have had a bigger part, it was because they were racist against Finn.
Yeah, but a lot of people who were upset with the sequel trilogy, one of the reasons, which we've been saying since the beginning, was Finn was woefully underdeveloped, and we think that it was because of China. We think,
And then they killed Luke, or destroyed Luke.
Yeah.
I mean, destroyed, same thing, in every way they could possibly do so, including killing him physically. So it was like, they ruined, they didn't give everybody what they wanted at all. They didn't get the cast back. They ruined Luke. They took the good characters they had set up for the first movie, and other than Rey, they all became total shits for no reason. I'm like, this is what people are mad about.
Talk about bullying. It's like taking somebody's Star Wars action figures from when they were little kids, taking them and then just like breaking them in front of them, being like, well, you like Luke Skywalker? Well, fuck you. I'm going to break his head off right in front of you.
Put an X on his face in the studio, Yeah. And it's like, and that's what they do. They I will argue, are the bullies. Because if people call it out, they didn't like something, even if it was nothing related to Rey at all, it was because they were misogynist against strong females. Yeah. And then they can dismiss you that way. And it's like, people are not letting that happen anymore. They're wise to it. It used to be they bully you and to be like, oh, I don't want people to think badly of me. I don't want them to think, oh my gosh, I don't want people to think I'm a racist when I'm not. Yeah. They know you're not. They're just doing that to be assholes. They're the ones acting like racists.
They want you to fight back, because if you fight back, then they say that you picked on them first. You bullied them first.
Right.
Look at the Christina Ariel situation. The narrative has been, she was just minding her own business, wasn't doing nothing, and all of a sudden, all these toxic fans. She had some things
that even if it was because of the situation at the time, she shouldn't have probably said.
Right.
And they definitely can be read as these are kind of racist.
Yeah.
And that's what the people are pointing out. But because she's her, and and she's on the higher public side.
Yeah.
It's because the narrative is because it's not because she did the bad things. It's because people thinking that did bad things.
Yeah.
It's like I'm tired of this, and I'm glad that Zack Snyder's calling it out, because he's not wrong. It's a load of shit. They deliberately paint people and with a broad brush, vilify everyone because they don't agree with the plan they want, and they're afraid of losing power.
Yeah, that's what this is all about. And I think they're going to. I mean, 4 or 5 years now, fans are wise to it, and that's why they're going to YouTube, and that's why they're
why they're trying to come after YouTube now.
Yeah, they're chasing fans, trying to chase them away from YouTube. They're trying to get channels shut down. They're trying to get blogs shut down. We've been on the receiving end of that bullshit. And I guarantee you there are some journalists that are behind that horse shit, too.
Well, yeah, because in their mind, I think if you're gone, they're going to actually come back and listen to them.
They're not coming back.
They think you're full of shit. They're not listening to you. Actually, just FYI, some of you sites like CBR and stuff, people have your stuff archived. They go to the archives, so they deliberately don't give you clicks. At least when we show it, we give you the click.
Yeah. You're losing. These pop culture sites are losing. They're losing credibility. And if the Snyder Cut, I don't know how it's going to be, but if it winds up knocking it out of the park, people are going to be like, why for years did these websites say that there was no Snyder Cut? It wasn't very good. It was garbage.
Even when the actors and stuff said, yes, there was. We saw it,
Like, we've acted in it. We know there is.
They would say often, yes, there is. No, there isn't. There isn't. These toxic fans want to make it up.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it's good. I give props to Zack Snyder for sticking up for the fans. I think more directors need to do this. For sure. I think Jon Favreau's got kind of that streak in him. He's also said, that
he stays out of it.
He stays out of it.
He basically does I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I don't need to waste my time on your petty bitching.
Yeah, but I think Snyder is so sick of it because he has been on the receiving end. I mean, you're basically saying if you support a Snyder cut, you're like an alt-right Yahtzee and you're a horrible person and a troll and a whatever. And he's like, I'm sick and tired of this shit. I mean, after everything he's been through in the last couple of years, I'd be like, fuck you and fuck the horse you rode in on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, it's not fair. I mean, he's already had enough to deal with, and then this shit, which isn't even true.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Oh, and by the way, sorry, Mom.
All right, we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more toxic pop culture news.
No, it's not toxic. They're the toxic. I'm going to argue they're toxic.
They are.
Tune in for more news, views, and whatever that are rallying against the toxicity that we are seeing in pop culture media.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.